And welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we think is likely to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, you are missing a trick. Linked in the description down below. It's completely free. I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. It's the first place we go to notify you of the ins and the outs of everything that is going on in the crypto space. So do yourself a massive favor, check it out, linked in the description below. Discord. Okay, let's make a start. Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart, and Binance is our data source. Following on from our conversations yesterday, we went down to $16,256, slightly higher than the expected 16,000 flat, but a pretty decent level that we've hit. We then obviously went straight back up, as you can see here, up into our supply range. Let's go ahead and dive down into this, right? So we can see that we kind of broke down as expected here. We can map this up as several different ways. This is probably the better way of looking at it, moving down into these lows. Okay, so we hit down here at 16,256. We then rapidly moved right back up into our supply area. This is an area that we've been heavily hitting as a bit of resistance. Now, we are consolidating here for a bit longer than we tend to like, in the same way that we had this consolidation, this sideways trade right here. This is an indication that it's possible that this supply area is turning into an area of demand. Normally, you come into these areas and you get rejected pretty quickly. We are lingering a tad too long. We'll see how this develops. I am still expecting to come back down into the demand range, right down here again. Okay, so for clarity, that is 16,500 to 16,600. So it's right in that sweet spot right there. I'm looking at this structure as a three-wave move. So we're looking at it as like a big A, B, and then possibly a move upwards after that. I am expecting us to kind of move on, progress on up a little bit here. Now, the issue that I have with this is that this structure, and considering we lost this low point just over here, let me just go ahead and throw a line on there, at 16,527. Okay, so we lost this low. This tells us that we started the next structure down. So if we take a look, we kind of go up, we come down, we've got to move up again, right? But this is an odd structure nonetheless. We've kind of come down in three, and this could be some kind of strange B-wave movement, for example. So this move to the upside has been a little bit strange, to say the least. We could be looking at a five-wave structure and potentially pushing up into the secondary supply zone just at the top here. This is basically 17,274 through to 17,447. So that's always a possibility. If we go for that one, I would expect to see this in five-wave structure. So we've come up here in one, for example. We come down into two. We go up into three, four, and then five. That third wave will have to go up significantly higher, get rejected, and then push up into the higher bounds of this area just once more. That there would actually then allow us to take a look at this as an A, B, C irregular flat correction, which would then make more sense because I am expecting us to move on down into some lower lows at some point, and I'm not expecting us to kind of move out of this this range too much. Now, we can of course come up significantly higher than this range. That's okay, but I would not expect us to come up higher than our origin, which is up here at 18,387. I'm not expecting that to break, but we can have anywhere in between. That's pretty fair game, and we'll have to see how those structures evolve. So I would like to see it as a five-wave move up towards the $17,500. That would make the most amount of sense in my head. Failing that, then of course we're doing something different down here, and we'll have to kind of map in what that looks like specifically at a later date here. Now, our macro standpoint still remains the same. We obviously have lost this area up here of previous kind of support. It's become resistance. We can see that right inside here. So the next area of support on our map is 13,970. This is, of course, the daily time frame, but this maps up nicely into our weekly, and of course, it maps up really, really nicely into our monthly as well. So as you can kind of see, this yellow box area just up here, this being 17,600 to 18,800, you can see that we was a good area of support. So this was a demand zone. We've gone back up. Now we've confirmed that it is a supply zone, or now resistance. So the next stop is going to be in this range, 13,900 to 11,600, in my opinion. That's going to be the next kind of major movement for BTC. Now, if I come back to our original document here, this trading view, in fact, actually, I'll bring this up into our daily, just bring this up into our view right here. Okay, so what do we see? Well, we see ourselves setting up some very similar kind of scenarios that we have done many times before. Let me just turn that off auto for a second. If I go ahead and just hide all of these structures off of our daily time frame for a second here, just hide them off. One of the things that we do a lot with Bitcoin during this bear market are the higher highs and the higher lows. We see this time and time again, and we're doing very similar things right now, right? We can see it right in here. We have our higher lows being set up, and we have our higher highs being set up right inside here. So like we always say, guys, these usually break to the downside, but we'll probably have to test the higher ranges at some point one more time, find the additional resistance like we normally would do up in this section just here. For example, you can see that we're kind of bounce around a little bit, setting up the higher highs and the higher lows. This is basically from June. This was a ticking time bomb to the downside. Likewise, over here as well, we have the higher highs and the higher lows also being set right inside here, and we break to the downside on those. Okay, so we're looking at these things repeating themselves over and over and over again, because you can kind of see how this bear market has been so far, tricking a lot of, I guess, retail investors to a degree. And what we're really looking for are these. We're looking for the lower lows and the lower highs. These break upwards, right? So that's really what we're waiting for. We're waiting for a change out of this kind of momentum. It's not really momentum, but our move to the downside here. I'm expecting us to come down into these lower ranges, still scoped out at 13,200 through to about the 13,900 now. It actually says 14.2, but it's actually a little bit lower than that now. So those are kind of the original thoughts that still are remaining the same. It hasn't changed. Everything is still pretty much following along these paths. There's nothing too unusual about this. Now, as we come up into the wallet counts, we can, of course, see that retail hasn't really been shaken out of the space yet. They continue to have their wallets growing in numbers. So we're 974,000 people with 1 Bitcoin or more. We have a little bit of fluctuation here with the dolphins, but nothing too major. We take a look at the bigger participants. We have sharks. They're definitely going on a bit of a run, probably due to worrying about the exchanges and things like that. And can't see why they would want to get too involved with Bitcoin from a trading point of view, but we'll see how that unfolds. It's not the first time they've made mistakes like this, so we'll see what happens next when it comes to the sharks. But when it comes to the Kraken and the whales, you know, essentially the 1,000 Bitcoin or more or 10,000 Bitcoin or more is a very, very clear picture. Essentially, nothing major is happening here. Let me just find our there we go. So that's the shrimps for the Bitcoin this year so far, 2022. You can kind of see how they've been accumulating. FTX occurred over here, and we see everyone withdrawing from the exchanges. Our whales, on the other hand, are very much telling us a very clear picture of what is going on. And since the whales are usually on the right side of this and retail is usually on the wrong side of this, these guys are the ones that I believe are on the right side and therefore following the right direction. The bigger macroeconomic climate that is not overly brilliant right now. So what we're waiting for is we are waiting for retail investors to get shaken out of the space and to essentially sell their Bitcoin at a discount to our whale investors who have been selling it to them this entire time. Okay, so understand that there's always a buyer, there's always a seller, and at the moment, all the retail investors who are being told that the bottom is in have been FOMOing in and buying the Bitcoin directly from these whale participants, and the whales will be buying it back from the said retail investor at a much lower rate further down the line. I don't think that the bottom is in, and if we do think the bottom is in, then we also have to believe that the whales don't know what they're doing and that the whales are making massive mistakes. So I'll leave that for you to decide. If you believe the bottom is in, then you also equally have to believe that the whales are making mistakes by selling right now, and if you believe that the whales are not making a mistake, then you have to believe that the bottom cannot be in. Those two things in my mind are not interchangeable. So essentially, when it comes to Bitcoin, everything is kind of following as we would kind of expect it to. Does take a bit of time to play out. Nothing terribly too much to it. If this is all a bit alien to you in terms of all the different kind of lines, the wave counts and all that kind of stuff, then do join us in Discord. We actually have a lot more educational content. We've got the cheekyschool.com now, so you can actually participate in doing a course on Elliott Wave theory if that's what you want. You also have coaching available, so you can actually get one-on-one coaching sessions available on Elliott Wave theory as well, brush up your skills and all that kind of stuff. So check that out if that's of interest to you. In the Discord, we have a 181-page PDF document that explains Elliott Wave theory, but sometimes the video courses are a little bit easier to digest. So I'll leave it with you guys. If you are looking at this thinking, what the hell's going on? I do kind of steer you in those directions. Make sure you join us in Discord. Either way, it's the first place we go to notify you of everything that's going on in the crypto space. So do check it out. And guys, I will catch you all in the next one. Have a fantastic day.